The morning sun bathed the grove in a golden light as we gathered beneath the Bodhi tree. Buddha sat with serene composure, his presence as calming as the stillness of the river at dawn. I knelt at his feet, the weight of my thoughts pressing heavily upon my chest. "Master," I began, my voice trembling, "why do we suffer, though we strive so earnestly for freedom?" His eyes met mine, filled with compassion that seemed to dissolve the walls of my despair. Buddha looked at them, his gaze calm and piercing. "An empty bowl is the beginning of wisdom," Buddha began softly. "Imagine a bird," he said, "perched high on a branch, gripping it tightly in a sudden storm." I nodded, the image vivid in my mind. As he added, "The branch bends and shakes, but the bird suffers most from its grasp." His words unfolded like a lotus, layer by layer, illuminating truths hidden in plain sight. "To ease the suffering," he said, "one must release the grasp, trusting in the strength of their own wings." My thoughts raced as he paused, allowing his words to root deeply in the fertile soil of my understanding. "But Master," I asked, "how can one release the grasp when the storm itself demands our hold for survival?" He smiled, a smile that carried the wisdom of countless lifetimes, and said, "The storm does not define you, only your grasp." The disciples leaned in closer, their robes whispering against the earth as they waited for the teaching to unfold further. "Life," he said, "is both storm and calm, both turmoil and peace, woven into a seamless fabric of existence." He gestured to a small bird that flitted fearlessly between branches, untroubled by the wind. "Look at this bird," he said. "It balances neither by holding nor by releasing, but by adapting to the flow." I watched the bird, its movements a dance of grace and resilience. As I began to understand his lesson, freedom, the Buddha explained, is not in grasping nor in letting go, but in seeing the nature of the branch itself. My mind wrestled with his words, seeking to comprehend a wisdom that felt both simple and profound. "The branch is impermanent," he continued, "just as the storm is transient. Clinging binds you to both. Understanding frees you." A disciple beside me spoke, his voice tinged with curiosity. "But Master, what if the branch is the only refuge we have?" Buddha looked at him with infinite patience, his voice steady as he replied, "Refuge is found not in the branch, but in knowing how to soar." The murmurs among us quieted as his words sparked a deeper introspection, like a flame lighting 1,000 lamps. "To soar," he said, "is to awaken to the truth that neither branch nor storm owns you." My heart stirred, the weight within me lifting as the horizon of my understanding expanded beyond its confines. "Master," I asked, "how does one awaken to this truth amidst the distractions of daily existence?" He gazed at the sky, where clouds drifted gently, unhurried and free. "By observing," he said, "the nature of the clouds, which neither hold nor resist the wind, but move with it." His words painted a picture of freedom not as an escape, but as a harmonious alignment with the currents of life. "Observe," he said, "how each droplet in the cloud is both unique and interconnected, part of the whole." I reflected on his teaching, the intricacies of it unfolding like petals under the warmth of the sun. "Suffering," he reiterated, "is the shadow cast by attachment, which distorts the light of understanding." The moment felt timeless as the grove around us seemed to hold its breath, embracing the depth of his wisdom. Buddha stopped and watched. "Look at the farmer," Buddha pointed out. The paradox of his words ignited a quiet rebellion in my thoughts, challenging the very framework of my beliefs. "Do not cling to my teachings as truth," he added, "but test them in the crucible of your own experience." The farmer, overhearing Buddha's words, smiled and bowed. His burden felt lighter, as if the lesson uplifted his spirit. "Faith," he said, "is not a chain but a raft. It carries you across but is left behind when the shore is reached. The clarity of his response swept through my mind, dissolving the knots of doubt that had tethered me. The shore you seek, he continued, is not a place but a state of being. Free from illusion, the sun began to dip towards the horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the grove. Notice its flow. It is neither hurried nor stagnant. The disciples and I sat in contemplative silence, the stillness of the moment reflecting the inner calm we sought. As the evening approached, I felt a profound shift within, as though the roots of my soul had found firmer ground. The weight of my thoughts had lifted, replaced by a luminous clarity that guided me towards a deeper understanding. Buddha stood, his presence like a beacon in the encroaching dusk, and said, "The path to liberation is a pathless path." His words lingered, intertwining with the sounds of the grove, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of birds. I watched him walk away, his figure merging with the golden hues of the setting sun, a symbol of eternal wisdom. And in that moment, I understood that the teachings were not answers but keys to unlock the doors within us. Another day, another lesson unfolded under the canopy of the forest, where sunlight danced through the emerald leaves. Buddha walked among us, his footsteps light as falling petals, his presence both calming and commanding. We followed him in silence, each step a meditation, each breath an echo of the world around us. Ahead, an archer practiced with unwavering focus, his bowstring taut, his aim precise. As he released one arrow after another, Buddha stopped, watching the archer with an expression of quiet curiosity, his gaze as steady as the archer's aim. "Observe," he said, his voice carrying softly like the rustle of the leaves, the discipline with which he directs his effort. We stood attentively, our eyes fixed on the archer, as the scene became a living metaphor for our lives. Each arrow, Buddha continued, is a moment, and each release is a choice made with intention or neglect. The archer, unaware of our presence, continued his practice, each arrow finding its mark with remarkable consistency. "What determines his success?" Buddha asked, his question hanging in the air like a leaf suspended mid-fall. One disciple spoke, his voice uncertain, "Master." His skill and concentration guide his arrows to their destination. Buddha smiled faintly, as though acknowledging the partial truth of the response. Before elaborating, "Indeed," he said, "but also consider the forces beyond his control. The wind, the tension in the string, the balance of the bow." The disciples exchanged glances, their thoughts stirred, as Buddha turned to face us, his expression serene yet probing. "In life," he said, "we are both the archer and the arrow, guided by effort yet subject to conditions. Generosity is a practice of mindfulness. It strengthens compassion and fosters interconnectedness." The disciples absorbed his words, recognizing the profound wisdom in simple acts. Buddha continued, "When your bowl is filled, let its contents nourish others." A gentle breeze passed through the grove, as if the forest itself responded to the wisdom of his words. "Effort and wisdom," Buddha continued, "are the tools of the archer, guiding the arrow even amidst the uncertainties of life." The archer paused, adjusting his stance, his movements deliberate and mindful, a silent affirmation of the teaching unfolding before us. Just as the archer aligns his aim with the bow, Buddha said, we must align our actions with the Eightfold Path. Buddha sat beneath an old tree, its roots deep and strong. "This tree offers shade without seeking praise," Buddha remarked, admiring its presence. His words resonated deeply, offering comfort and clarity, like a light guiding us through the labyrinth of our doubts. "Life," he added, "is not a single shot but a series of moments, each an arrow released with care or neglect." The archer resumed his practice, each shot a reminder of the balance between effort and surrender. between control and acceptance. Observe, Buddha said, gesturing toward the archer, how he neither forces the bow nor resists the string, but works in harmony with both. As the sun set, casting golden hues across the sky, Buddha addressed his disciples one final time for the day. Life is a series of moments, Buddha said, his voice soft yet resolute. His answer, though simple, carried a depth that challenged me to explore the edges of my understanding. Effort alone, he explained, is like an archer pulling the bow without aim. Conditions alone are like a target with no archer. The disciples and I absorbed his teaching, the interplay of effort and conditions forming a tapestry of insight and wisdom. To live skillfully, Buddha concluded, is to aim with intention, to adapt with wisdom, and to release with trust. That night, as the disciples rested, they reflected on Buddha's words and presence. Each one resolved to integrate small practices into their daily lives. The lesson ended not with a final word but with a silence that spoke volumes. A pause that invited reflection. As we walked back to the monastery, the image of the archer lingered in my mind, a reminder of the path ahead. The lessons of the day echoed through Savatthi, carried by the whispers of those who witnessed Buddha's teachings. His wisdom, rooted in simplicity, brought clarity to all who embraced his guidance. Another day, another teaching unfolded as the sun dipped low, casting the Sangha in hues of amber and gold. Buddha sat before an oil lamp, its flickering flame gently dancing in the soft evening breeze. Look closely, he began, his voice calm yet resonant. At this flame that depends on both oil and wick. We leaned in, observing the flame that seemed both fragile and resilient, both fleeting and enduring in its nature. This flame, Buddha continued, is neither entirely independent nor entirely dependent. It is a dance of conditions in perfect balance. His words hung in the air, like the faint smoke rising from the lamp, inviting contemplation and understanding. Life, he said, is like this flame, arising from causes and conditions yet dancing freely in its unique rhythm. One disciple asked, his voice hesitant, Master, if the flame depends on conditions, does it truly have freedom, or is it bound? Buddha smiled, his expression carrying the warmth of a teacher guiding a child through the labyrinth of understanding. Freedom, he replied, is not the absence of conditions but the ability to respond to them without attachment or aversion. The disciples sat silently, their eyes fixed on the flame as the depth of his words ignited reflection within them. Observe, Buddha said, how the flame bends and sways, neither resisting the breeze nor extinguishing itself in its presence. His teachings unfolded like petals of a flower, revealing layers of insight with each carefully chosen word. The flame, he explained, adapts to the conditions, finding harmony within them rather than fighting against their nature. I spoke, my voice carrying the weight of my thoughts. Master, how can we be like the flame in our own lives? Buddha looked at me, his gaze steady and kind, as he said, through mindfulness, through seeing the nature of conditions clearly. The oil lamp flickered, as though illustrating the impermanence and fluidity of existence, a living metaphor for his teaching. Each moment, he continued, is a flicker of the flame, shaped by the past yet free to illuminate the present. Another disciple asked, his voice filled with curiosity, but Master, if life is like the flame, what is its fuel, its wick? Buddha gestured toward the lamp, his movements graceful, as he replied, the oil is your intentions, the wick your actions. His response carried a profound simplicity, offering clarity to the intricate interplay of causes and effects in life. When intentions are pure, he added, the flame burns bright, steady, and unwavering, illuminating the path ahead. The disciples nodded, their understanding deepening as the teaching unfolded like a river carving its course through the land. The disciples listened intently, their hearts stirred by the simplicity of the lesson. Consider each step you take today, Buddha continued, as an opportunity to ground your mind and deepen your roots. His words carried the timeless truth of impermanence, both comforting and challenging in their profound implications. Just as the flame transforms, Buddha continued, so too do we, arising and dissolving within the cycle of existence. A hush fell over the Sangha, the weight of the teaching resonating in the stillness of the twilight. The path to liberation, he said, is not in clinging to the flame but in understanding its nature and letting go. His voice, though soft, carried an authority that seemed to echo through the vastness of time itself. Observe the flame, Buddha concluded, for in its dance lies the truth of interdependence, impermanence, and freedom. Its calm presence teaches patience and strength. The traveler sat, his breathing gradually slowing as he studied the tree's quiet majesty. The teaching ended not with a final word but with a silence that spoke of infinite possibilities and boundless truths. And in that silence, I knew that the path was not to be found but to be illuminated from within. As the sun climbed higher, casting dappled light through the leaves, Buddha gathered his disciples. Take one moment each day to sit in stillness, Buddha said. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.